immediately jump to security, okay? Because a lot of things in cloud, and it's not easy to cover, everything within the timelines. That's a very tough, you know.
We
But
need to cover the important thing which is of value.
yeah, right. So I think AZ900 you already covered,
Completed. Yes.
and you got the understanding of IAS, PAS,
Hmm.
and SAS.
Yes.
You have full clarity on that part front, right?
Right.
Okay. In AZ900 is very simple, but you have to understand, the hybrid cloud model, how it works,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
And how your like a combination of on-prem plus private cloud plus public cloud, the combination, how it works, and
Mm-hmm.
how you are going to differentiate all those things covered in AZ900, right?
Yes.
In AZ100, AZ900, there was one term, if I remember correctly. Okay, IAS, PaaS, SaaS, fine. Public cloud, hybrid cloud, also done. Okay, leave it. Let's come to AZ104. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
303, 304. So what I'm going to do actually to fast track things, I'm going to share with you 303 material, okay, and
Mm-hmm.
304 material as well. So I will not
Okay.
ask you to study everything because everything is
Mm-hmm.
really not possible, to be very frank. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's
Mm-hmm.
try to go through with it, try to understand it. Finally, we'll jump on AZ500. Today, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to touch upon AZ500 because I want to give some time these things actually also, because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things are there which you need to understand this thing actually. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't know the cloud, how will apply the security? That's a challenge,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay, so let me quickly share my screen. Already shared. Okay, we go. AZ104. Too much there in cloud actually.
Yes.
But we have to focus on important things actually. Um, and this is only Azure. There is AWS, Google Cloud as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Too much. Yeah.
Must.
Uh, and we don't have much time, so I will do reverse engineering. Okay.
Yes.
Uh, so trainer, a study guide, unique power. I think this is the last. This is the last. Let me open it. So really, thanks to Microsoft to provide all those, documentation. Do you think monitoring is part of security?
Yes.
Yes, that's why I'm focusing on it. So actually, Azure monitoring we have, you know, and where we have Azure monitors, alerting, log analytics. These log analytics will be captured by this machine learning and artificial capabilities. These
Mm-hmm.
terms you have to use where you are talking to panel. Machine
Mm-hmm.
learning and artificial intelligence capabilities. Okay. We know,
Mm-hmm.
don't know the depth. No, we don't have depth knowledge, but we have to say like this only. Okay. Network
Mm-hmm.
watcher. Do you know network flow chart? Network flow.
Network
So
flow. Yes.
network flow means how VNet is going to communicate another VNet, how NSG
Mm-hmm.
communication will do, how subnet will communicate to NSG. All those things will be
Mm-hmm.
captured in network packets. We call it net flow actually. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a network capture. So packets we are going to capture, we are going to capture frames, the data is streaming, everything we are going to capture in the monitoring. So this Azure monitor finally going to provide the data to Azure Security Center. That's a source
Mm-hmm.
point. That's a source point for Azure Security Center, right?
Right.
So it is going to take data from Azure monitoring, your security center, right? So monitor
Right.
services there, metrics, logs, log data. I'm not going to this, just overview. Kind of like this actually, right? So have you ever worked on this Splunk?
Splunk, no.
No. So actually, remember our Citrix days, right? So
Mm-hmm.
in Citrix, a lot of challenges in monitoring, you know, it
Mm-hmm.
start from F site, then come to the director, and on top of director, you need SCOM, you know, now SCOM has got deprecated. Now director is taking care of everything. For NetScaler, you need, you know, different kind of monitoring command center. Then you are going for, you know, different, you know, ADM tools, or no, new for Azure, this Citrix NetScaler. So actually, uh, monitoring was not perfect in Citrix VDI solutions, right? That's lacking behind actually. But in cloud, you will see it is going to monitor everything, and you are going to get all data in single dashboard with metrics and logs. Okay, so what it will do, it will give you aggregated data, like as a database format. You go and search it, right? So you are going to get data from application, OS, any resources, subscription level, tenant means your Active Directory tenant, right? Any custom resources. And it is going to use all the Power BI capabilities, workbook, and you know, you're going to give you complete data. And also it can integrate with anything like Azure Security Center, Azure Sentinel, alerting, everything, you know. So all together, you are going to get the monitoring services, and this is going to help you in the Azure Security Center. So why I'm showing this, I will talk about AWS and Google Cloud also here. Okay. So in AWS, we have CloudWatch.
No, but in this slide, I have one question. Like you're saying
Mhm,
that this Azure
mhm,
Monitor will
mhm,
monitor from application to subscription, tenant, everything. Then
mhm,
when you say custom sources, so is
mhm.
this custom source is on-prem? Is Azure Monitor able to on-prem resources also?
Yes, yes, you can do that, right? If suppose you have, that's a nice question actually. So actually, that's a nice question. So custom sources means, suppose you have hybrid environment, right? And you want to apply this Azure Monitor into your on-premise environment. Very much possible. You have to install the Azure Monitor agents. Okay. Then you are going to get data within the, but dashboard you are going to get within the Azure cloud only. But you are going to get the data. You are fetching the event logs from the on-premise to your Azure cloud. Okay.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah. So custom sources, hybrid kind of sources, or any third-party application data, you know, anything. Yeah. Hope you
And if
have
I have
clarity.
multiple subscriptions
Mm-hmm.
within, then also I can use from multiple subscription. The
Mm-hmm.
resources can point. We have different Azure Monitor, or we have only one Azure Monitor for multiple subscriptions.
So actually, these monitoring will be, you know, dedicated to your subscription actually. Okay.
But mhm.
Right. So it will, so it cannot be you're going to monitor all the subscription within the single, but those option available actually. Actually, in Azure, we have Azure Blueprint. Okay. We have Azure Policy. So if you want to control your monitoring, your everything, you know, for different subscription, that is also possible, but you have to make some tweaks in between. Okay. That is also possible, but it
Okay,
will be dedicated to your subscription. Yes.
okay.
Okay. And now I'm going to highlight. So when you're talking about the monitoring things, you don't focus on only Azure Monitor. You talk about CloudWatch. No difference. Same thing. CloudWatch is also doing in AWS. Okay. And in Google Cloud, what monitoring tool is there? Operations.
Operations. Okay.
Okay. Prior to operation, the name was Stackdriver. Why I'm able to recall the name? Because I already worked 2 years back on that tool,
Okay.
Stackdriver. Else,
Okay.
because you are starting Google Cloud now, you don't need to know Stackdriver. But if you tell the panel Stackdriver, oh my God, looks like it's a a legacy resource in Google Cloud. He knows stack driver days also. Getting my point?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like Citrix, you are talking about director, and any new resources talking about director is fine. But being a like us, like old resources, senior citizens, if we are not talking about Citrix at site, oh my God,
Yeah.
you are new to Citrix. Getting my point?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So we have to talk about we have to talk like that. Those things actually. So
Mm-hmm.
monitor, So I'm not going to touch upon all those things. Matrix logs, all those things, kind of, uh, uh, not going to help. Alerting, same way alerting we have, and you can, play around, log analytics. Okay. So everything is like anything. Network watcher. So I was telling you, this flow,
AWS.
network flow, the flow, the packet flow. It is going to trace everything, to get the
Mm-hmm.
data. Where is the problem? When troubleshooting is required, then you need those logs actually for the troubleshooting. See, this NSG flow logs, right? So
Mm-hmm.
where these things are required actually, when you are going to do troubleshooting. Suppose one VM is not communicated to another VM. You have created some, the firewall rules within an NSG. So where the traffic is blocking, you are going to check the complete network flow logs, network flow,
Mm-hmm.
net flow. Okay.
Okay.
So in here we are calling NSG flow. You in Google Cloud, in AWS Cloud will it's a net flow, actually different name. Okay, and all those things. This is the lab. So I think the monitoring part is very common, and this is related to your security. So monitoring is
Mm-hmm.
very important. So as a best practice, as a cloud security architect, what is our recommendation? So these are cloud native monitoring tool. Okay, these are cloud native monitoring tool. So we can also think of uh, you know uh, third party monitoring tools, right? Like, just focus on
Ah.
this: New Relic, SolarWind,
Mm-hmm.
App Dynamics,
Mm-hmm.
Nagios,
Mm-hmm.
ELK, many
Mm-hmm.
actually, and Azure Monitor. So these are third-party monitoring tool. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes customer also want some dual monitoring kind of solution. Okay, so that's
Mm-hmm.
a recommended solution anyway. So you can also discuss all those things with the panel. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So monitoring done. Let's move. I'm doing reverse engineering actually, fast track. Okay. This is your security part.
Mm-hmm.
Data protection. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What is data protection? Means backup, right?
Mm.
Why backup is important?
Backup is important so that in case of any disaster or in case of any data corruption, you can
Mm-hmm.
recover your data. So it is for.
So, right. Why do we need this DR or VCP then? DR as a service? If you are telling like for disaster, backup should be there. So why do we need DR as a service, disaster recovery services or VCP? Getting my point?
Mhm.
Yeah. Can you answer, please?
Disaster recovery, and this is helpful when you have a disaster in one site and you can still run your services from the other data center, say.
So
But
don't take name of disaster. Okay.
mm,
Disaster will not come into the backup case. Backup is like, you want, as is a backup copy of your data and everything. Something went wrong, manual, human error, or something went wrong. So you have
mm,
backup available, and you can make your production up and running by restoring it, right?
okay, yes.
Disaster will come into the DR. Like, see, in security, we
Mm-hmm.
call CIA. What is CIA?
Don't know.
Confidentiality,
Integrity
integrity,
and uh,
availability.
uh-huh.
Getting my point? So focus three
Yeah, yeah.
things: confidentiality, integrity,
Integrity and
and
availability.
availability. So backup data protection means backup is part of availability, and that's come
Hmm.
under security, right?
Security.
So
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
are going to do the risk assessment, what is risk? These are
Risk is
security.
any
Yeah, go
risk
ahead.
is anything which is kind of gray area or loopholes which can
Mhm,
be exploited to make your things
mhm.
not working.
So disruption of your service, right? Which
Disruption
can
of
disturb, which can disturb your service, running services, kind of, right? So
mm-hmm.
focus on three things. CIA. Security
Mm-hmm.
means not only security. Security means availability also. Things should be
Mm-hmm.
available, highly available. So
Mm-hmm.
confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So backup will come under availability,
Availability.
right? So
Right.
folder backup, virtual machine. So we have Azure backup available. That same backup you can apply in on-premise data center as well. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
file, folder, backup, these things need to be discussed. This is very simple. Okay. So main
Mm-hmm.
point I already highlighted. We are going very fast today, like bullet train. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Machine backup. I'm not concerned about these. Okay. What is difference between a snapshot and backup?
Snapshot is the working copy
Mm-hmm.
of maybe VMs, right?
Mm-hmm. And backup?
Backup is your application data backup consistency.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So actually, you are absolutely right. A snapshot is like working, means real time backup, current
Mm-hmm.
state backup, kind of, what is running,
Mm-hmm.
you are going to take a snapshot. So
Mm-hmm.
those snapshot is going to help you in production activities. Suppose you have to make
Mm-hmm.
changes on the server side. You are, before
Mm-hmm.
making any changes, you are taking snapshot.
Snapshot.
If
Mm-hmm.
you are going to take backup that time for your activity, it is going to, because backup is like traditional backup, kind of, legacy kind
Mm-hmm.
of backup. It's very slow, it is going to take time. So you don't want to waste your time for taking backup. That's why we rely on the snapshot. Okay. And backup is like your full-fledged enterprise level backup solution, where it is going to take much time, lot of time. So
Mm-hmm.
that is the major difference. What is ASR? Mm-hmm.
Treasure site recovery.
Yeah.
Okay, this is about the site only. That if one of the site goes down, so if
Mm-hmm.
you have the data between two different sites, maybe then
Mm-hmm.
you can
Mm-hmm.
protect your machines and data.
Absolutely right. Now disaster will come into the picture. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For your Azure site recovery means ASR. So
Yeah.
Azure is providing DR as a service. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Suppose you want with your DR services within the Azure cloud, very much available. Suppose you want DR of your data center, your data center, and for the same data center, you want DR from Azure cloud. It is very much possible. You can achieve it. Active, passive, all those options available. Suppose there is a scenario, you have two data center A, data center B. You don't want to
Mm-hmm.
copy and copy replication of data to Azure cloud. Still, you want to do your DR as a service of Azure site recovery or Azure DR as a service. We call it as a DR as a service, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, is it possible or not?
No, it is not possible.
No, it is possible.
It is possible
It
to
is very much.
take.
Yes, it is very much possible. So that's the beauty of Azure DR as a service. So if you talk about all the cloud players, AWS, Google Cloud, so in all discussion, I'm going to compare all three clouds, okay, to make you
Mm-hmm.
understand how things are different. Okay. So the DR as a service of Azure cloud is very, is a USP of Microsoft, actually. Very powerful, very robust. Suppose any banking customer, okay,
Mm-hmm.
they don't want migrate their databases into public cloud, Azure cloud, AWS, or any cloud, right? And they have
Mm-hmm.
two data center, but they want high availability of their resources, of their databases. Because the scalability, the high availability, what you are going to get into the cloud, that is really not possible in on-premise. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, yes.
Right? So that's why Azure is going to do DRS service, complete automation. It will be provided by the Azure. No data copy from the on-prem to Azure cloud, but the automation part will be controlled by Azure cloud. Means there will be some installation of the agents. You know, those agents like DRS service, vaulting will be created. All the automation will be done. It will be just replicating those resources. You know, one data center, another data center. If a problem with the one data center, another data center will be creating as a available data center, active or active passive. You can go for both options. Okay, that is the beauty of Azure DRS service. Okay, clear, sir?
Clear.
So can you explain me what is this snapshot explaining in the picture? Snapshot.
Yeah, so you have a VM running. So you are taking a snapshot, means the current state of the VM, and then you are transferring that snapshot to the vault, the recovery
So
service vault in the Azure. So
Azure
anything,
cloud. Yeah.
yeah. So if your
Yeah,
VM goes down, so you can.
simple. Yeah, it's very simple, right? No rocket science. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, you have a backup option also available. You know, everything is available. Implementing VM backups, restore, you can do that. Azure backup server, all those things is possible. And also you can take backup of your on-premise resources also. Just you have to install Azure backup Mars agent or Maps agent on your on-premise workloads. Okay, that is also possible. And nowadays it's very famous, you know, to using Azure backup, because legacy backups are very slow. Cloud backup is very fast. Okay. And this is Azure site recovery. I just explained you the high availability, you know, failover, everything. Yeah. So just keep in mind what are the things available, and that's it. Need not to worry, rest thing. Okay. Clear?
Clear.
Okay. Why I'm going through one by one? Because something should not be missed actually. Because I also don't remember everything, you know. So that's why we are going to do through this Microsoft PPTs. We don't want to miss anything. Okay. Any questions, sir?
No.
No question. Okay. Okay. So what is difference between IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS?
So these are the three different service models, right? So infrastructure as a service is where models, infrastructure as a service. So my underlying infrastructure, like your hardware, your is managed network. Hardware components are managed by the cloud, and the other like your access management, your creation of resources, that will be your managed by the tenant.
What about hypervisor?
Hypervisor is in the cloud support. Cloud will be supporting it, Azure.
So not only hardware, it will be like hypervisor will be also managed by cloud provider, CSP.
Yes.
We call it cloud service provider, right? What about PaaS?
PaaS is only you will be needing the runtime environment. So everything from configuring the VMs to installing softwares, everything will be done by the clouds, and you will only be running your application or the codes on their environment.
Right. So mostly in the Azure cloud or any cloud, you are going to see mostly PaaS services. 80% or 85% services are PaaS services. Okay. And the SaaS services, need not to tell. SaaS services, like example, you go for ServiceNow or O365, Office 365, Outlook, all those.
You will only be consuming the services only.
Yes.
So you will only be doing the configuration and services. So everything will be hosted at the cloud end.
Cloud, and they will be taking care of everything, right? So now here some examples of PaaS services. You start from Azure App Services, right? People call it serverless, serverless technologies.
Yes.
Container services,
Container
and
service.
we have AKS service, AKS, right? Azure Kubernetes
Kubernetes.
services. Same way in AWS, we have EKS services, Elastic Kubernetes services. In Google, we have GKE, Google Kubernetes Engine. Getting my point? So remember those things. Those things are going to help you to, explain the panel. I don't know only Azure Cloud. I do have hands-on experience on AWS and Google Cloud. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is kind of, this app service is completely PaaS solution. How you're going to use, it's kind of serverless technologies, right? And you can use it, and it's like, very less efforts you have to do, and you could, so these are completely paid services, you go for a mobile application, web application, so everything will be charged there actually, so this is the plan where, the pricing tier, we are not concerned about the scaling of those applications, how you want to go, that you want to scale up to a service app service plan, or you want to VM instances level, everything, manual scalable, customers auto scale, everything you can do there actually, right? But it's very costly. Getting my point, right? So those applications are there, and minimum, efforts is required, and it is going to support all the environment. You start from, Python, Java, .NET, all the environment is going to support. Okay. So custom app service, you can go and create it, deploy it, everything will be taken care. You go and do your, complete application management from here. Okay. So this is the app service, which is available as a PaaS. Mostly it's like, a completely ready-made kind of solution. Okay. Serverless technology. As a developer, you need not to worry about the servers. Okay. What are the container services?
Container.
Yeah. Do you know the difference between container and virtual machine? I think I already explained you.
Yes, yes.
What is the difference? And this
So
is the
virtual.
interview question actually.
How can I? VM is your standalone machines, right? And container is that you have the image, and you don't have to worry about the underlying your hardware part. So you are in container, you are doing the operating system virtualization.
Okay. And in VM? What happened?
In VM, you are doing the virtualization of hardware.
Now you got it. I think you got your notes now, right?
No. I recall it.
Yes, that's nice. Today you are, using your sentences. I'm very happy, Negi sir. I'm very happy. Today you are not, repeating those taglines and sentences. No, no, it's really good. Be natural. Talk. Make your sentences. Take your time, because interviews thing is not very easy. It's always tough. So that's expected from the panel also. But be relaxed and use your, So now can you tell me what are the differences between containers and virtual machine now?
Isolation. Host. The host of Docker. Windows admin center. Virtual hard disk. Fault tolerant. Okay.
So these are actually main differences. I already told you few of them, okay? But these are theoretical differences are there.
Isolation, operating, deployment,
Yeah. You
storage,
can
fault
read it.
tolerance.
You can read it offline, okay? Invest some time, read it. Okay. So FT, fault tolerance, right? Okay. So let me explain you this container functionality actually. So actually I'm giving you too much, but try to understand because nowadays every interview they are asking container services. Okay. Even
Okay.
all our resources are not ready with container, but I want you make you, you know, ready with container. So your offer will come early actually. Okay. So before going to container, okay, let's talk
Mm-hmm.
about Docker images. I'm giving you a startup India. You have to explore by yourself also. Okay. Docker
Mm-hmm.
images. What is Docker images?
No, I can't explain it actually.
Okay, no problem. You know very well. What is VDI master image?
Yeah, VDI master image is that you have your image on which
Mm-hmm.
you have done all the like hardening of that image, and then
Mm-hmm.
you deploy the other image from you make a copy of this image. So using this image you can deploy your
Mm-hmm.
multiple virtual machines. So the
And
standard image will be deployed across all of
any
them.
difference between golden image and master image?
No, they are almost same.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So actually, remember your, the master image and golden images days. Okay. Actually, Docker image is also same kind of. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving you hint that will give you clear cut idea. So you're going to install operating system. On operating system, you're going to install application. You're going to do the optimization, right? And then you
Mm-hmm.
are going to log the image, right? By
Mm-hmm.
through antivirus. Some
Mm-hmm.
PowerShell scripting you're going to apply, and your image will be locked. I'm I'm thinking of considering the the PBS environment. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the Docker image is also kind of same. Okay. So you
Mm-hmm.
have underlying infrastructure, OS is there. On OS, you are going to deploy Docker images. Okay. Docker
Mm-hmm.
images, Docker registry, different
Mm-hmm.
terminologies here. So this is kind of your images only. But those images, those master images and golden images are heavy actually. Everything is there. But here in Docker, only some library, DLL files. Remember, some,
Mm-hmm.
all the kernel level, kernel layer and all those things will line with OS only. In image, it will be only your DLL files, your application layer, and some sort of communicate how can OS can communicate with this image. Those things will be there. The applications things will be there, right? All those things will be there only. So it's a like lightweight image. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So by using these Docker images, you are going to build your container. Okay. By
Mm-hmm.
using those Docker images, you are going to deploy the containers.
Mm-hmm.
Getting my point?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the Docker. Let's try to understand what is Kubernetes clustering. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Kubernetes, why we do need Kubernetes? Actually, monolithic and microservices differences.
Yes.
Okay. So actually, maximum application nowadays are getting migrated to microservices because microservices is smart, easy to manage, and can you can scale up to there is a no limit and easy to manage and also highly available. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like irctc.com. Remember your 10 years back when site was
Yeah.
down, that was
Mm-hmm.
monolithic application. Now they deployed into the container. Getting my point?
Mm-hmm.
That's the importance of Modi government, right? They're using
Mm-hmm.
containers, right?
Right.
Still people are not happy. Okay, after using container also. So coming to this Kubernetes clustering, so what happened? There is a master. Do you know clustering very well, right? I need
Right.
not to explain you. So there is a master, there is a broker node. You will never forget this what I'm going to explain you today. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There is a master and there is a broker nodes. Okay. Node means like
Mm-hmm.
n1 N1, N2, N3 kind of, you know. So your API service, your scheduler, your ETC, your controller, you know, all those services will be these services will be running on the master server or master, you know, master of the cluster. Okay, the worker node, the kubelet proxy will be running on those worker nodes. Okay, this master will be part of the cluster, but nothing will be hosted on this master. Getting my point? The worker node will be taking care of all the cluster and everything. Okay, these node you are going to create pod. Okay, little bit complicated, try to understand. If not getting understanding, try to read it online, you know, somewhere else. There is a pod. Okay, and in the pod you are going to deploy your containers. So one container or one microservice, one container per pod is the best practice. Okay, and how the communication will happen? Any communication is coming from the outside external world internet, it will be hitting to master through API. Okay, so API based calling will be happening. API, the request will hit here. Okay, so your controller, your etc, your scheduler, everything. So scheduler actually is going to, you know, schedule your task, your management of your infrastructure. Getting my point? Your Kubernetes cluster, it is going to take care of, you know, suppose as in VMware, what happened? Remember the fault tolerance. What happened? Suppose one VM is got down and you already enabled fault tolerance on VM level. So that VM will be power. Yeah, no, fault tolerance I'm talking about.
Fault tolerance, okay.
Yeah. So that same VM will be powered on another host. So like it's kind of fault tolerance enabled there. What will happen here? It will shut down the same VM and it will, you know, power on another VM, another node actually, or another container. So that container will be here. Self-healing feature is available in Kubernetes clustering. Self-healing. Okay. All the requests which are coming to the container services, it will be hitting to API. It will be controlled by controller. In etc, your secret key will be lying. Secret keys means your SSL keys, your all those keys, token keys, you know, the access management, everything will be taken care by the etc. It will capture all the files. Suppose anyone is coming, it's he's or not authorized or not unauthorized user, that will be stored in the etc file. Okay, it will be compared from here, then it will be allowing to access the container services, microservices application. Why we are deploying container services? To deploy, to manage microservices. Example, Amazon, Flipkart, right? Yes. So I'm not going to in detail. I'm just giving you just, you know, overview. In the security discussion, I'm going to feed you something more on the security front line. Okay. Hope it's
But
clear.
these days, clustering and Kubernetes, they are asking more.
Yeah, they're asking more. Yes, it's in demand. Okay. So, because we are discussing these things, let's talk about IAC, Terraform. So actually, Terraform we use infrastructure as a code to manage our Kubernetes cluster. Okay. To create our cluster, to manage our cluster, and this is kind of PaaS solution we have.
So it is infrastructure as a code.
Yeah, infrastructure as a code, right? And if you are following the VMware also, VMware releases its version 7.0 in 2020, and they announced they are going to support containerization services within their clusters. Okay. Hope you got the same news, right? And they're very successful actually. They are also using Kubernetes clustering. Okay. And in short, we call it K8S, Kubernetes. Okay. So far, so good?
Yes. Very tough, very complicated.
I know. You have to invest some time because I have invested already, I already did the Pahadi Puja, since last 2 years. Okay, so coming to these things are, so mostly you will see in the container services, Linux workloads, Ubuntu, CentOS, very less Windows workloads. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the container group. The group of container means you have, you have many containers you are managing through. So actually the problem with the Docker image, it Docker images, they cannot manage themselves. Getting my point?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's why as a orchestration service means automation service, we need Kubernetes clustering to manage the Docker images or containers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So here is the case. Are you able to understand this? What is happening here?
Docker Hub, we have the images here, then we have the engine, master, and containers. Okay. But Docker server.
So see, don't mix Docker with containers. So Docker is for only image management. Getting my point? So all those Dockers will be deployed on the containers only.
Containers only. Through Kubernetes.
Through
Clustering.
Kubernetes. Yes, simple. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what is, so this was kind of infrastructure as a service, right? Here it is as a PaaS service, AKS. Okay. Azure Kubernetes Services. What is going here? Little bit tough, but I will try to explain you if you are interested.
Yeah, Kubernetes services is just the orchestration that to which container the container hosting your Docker images for your microservices, and if you have multiple microservices, this Kubernetes service will help to route to their respective container and the Docker images.
Right. So this is your, just forget this thing. See, this is your images, container images, Docker images, right? You have container registry, right? From where it is going to deploy into your Kubernetes cluster. This is logo of Kubernetes only, okay? KTS. And Azure Monitor is for monitoring of the environment. Helm chart is for deployment, CI/CD pipe. Visualization and also CI/CD pipeline. You can deploy it by using Helm. Helm chart, you can see only the chart, not only for chart actually. You can deploy also by using Helm. Okay. And this is your pipeline, CI/CD pipeline. This is source code control like GitHub, where your repository will be there. Repository of your container images, your Docker images. Okay. So let me tell you few add-on things here. So Kubernetes is one of the orchestration. There is a Docker Swarm. Okay. There is an OpenShift from the Red Hat. That's also same like Kubernetes. But Kubernetes cluster is more powerful. It's a Google product, Google Cloud product. But what Google did, they made it open source product. So anyone can use it. Okay, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, so there are pools, there are nodes. Pools are nothing. Yeah. So like you have pods, you have nodes, and you are going to deploy the containers, and the deployment file, the manifest file will be YAML file .yaml .yaml. Okay. So little bit tricky. I think already explained you the clusters, nodes, the master and your broker node, because this is the PaaS service. So you need not to worry about the masters, broker nodes. It will be taken care by the Azure cloud itself. Okay. How the traffic is coming, the security front, everything. We are going to discuss those things, in our security discussion. So the important thing, it is going to use your persistent volume or persistent storage. Dedicated storage is required to make your AKS cluster successful. Okay. So now try to understand this AKS security. Can you read line by line item?
Managed service. Limit access with authorized IP range. Create a private cluster. Use RBAC and Azure AD access.
This is the first security.
Cluster
Okay.
upgrades. Upgrade the AKS cluster with cordon and drain. What is this cordon and drain?
Cordon drain means suppose you are upgrading your cluster, right? So how we do then ESXi? We'll make, we'll do one by one, right? So first what we'll do, we'll make one server out of cluster. We'll update it, so same way, we make it cordon and drain out of the cluster. Then we are going to upgrade that because it is going to, because in the cluster, all the nodes should be the same configuration, same, there should be similarity in the nodes. But if you are going to upgrade directly without making cordon and drain, it's going to impact your delivery of the Kubernetes container services. Read third one.
Okay. Node, automatic OS security patches, Azure managed disk pod security policies.
Okay, and the third one?
Networks, define ingress controllers with private internal IP address and filter the flow of traffic with network security group NSG. Okay.
And data?
Kubernetes secrets for credentials and keys.
Right, which will be relying on your...
Here we will be using Azure Key Vault for credential and keys, or it is Kubernetes secrets?
These are Kubernetes secrets actually. Yeah.
This is different from Key Vault.
It's kind of similar only, but naming convention is different. In AKS, you will find it is different. It's not same as your Key Vault. Okay, it's different. Yeah. So these are major differences, but first you have to understand the containerization services, how it works, how it looks, then you will understand the security front. So try to understand these things. These questions will be in the interview questions. I will make.
So what kind of questions are they asking in interview for container and Kubernetes?
How you are going to secure your containers, your microservices.
Okay.
Got it? So these things you have to discuss. AKS security, right? And how your AKS is going to communicate with your Azure Active Directory, right? All those sort of things. AKS scaling, auto scaling is available. Everything is there, horizontal, everything. ACI, and everything is here available. Okay. The kubelet is nothing which is going to run on. Remember, I already shown you on the, might be forgot. I think I deleted. Yeah, here I have shown you. Because within 1 hour, it's kubelet, Kubelet is going to work on your nodes, right? Same thing is showing here, but it's not easy to remember all those things, at the same time, right? The kubelet is going to work on your nodes and how the things happening actually. Okay. There we go. So spend some time, make yourself familiar with those technologies. Those things are going to help. Don't worry. I will also, emphasis on those things. First, I want you to do some basic understanding. Getting a point?
Yes.
Because it's kind of rocket science actually. It's actually rocket science. Yeah. So whenever we are doing discussion with Varun on the container, he's asking, okay, I'm busy right now. We'll discuss later on. Okay. Because things are very complicated, not very, friendly for us because we are coming from a different, background, right? So in virtual machine, I'm not going to talk too much. Okay. Because it's like very simple. What is t-shirt size?
What is?
T-shirt size of the VM.
I didn't understand the term altogether. What is it? T-shirt.
T-shirt size, yes. What is the T-shirt size of VM? Configuration. How much CPU, how much RAM, how much disk, the configuration details, right? We call it T-shirt size. Okay. So the security is the shared responsibility of the customer and your CSP.
Cloud provider.
CSP. Okay. So it will differ from the IaaS and PaaS and SaaS. So in the IaaS, customers' responsibility will be more, okay? And CSP's responsibility will be less.
Less.
Getting the point? In on-premise, complete responsibility from the customer side only.
Customer side.
In IaaS, what is happening? It's like joint responsibility, but customer's responsibility is more, CSP responsibility less. But in SaaS, customer's responsibility is less, CSP responsibility is more. Getting my point? So
Yes.
all those things are like shared responsibility to make cloud security successful. Okay. How to create, see, virtual machine sizing means t-shirt sizing, how you're going to define, it will depend upon your workload, what kind of, data you are going to put, what kind of application you are going to install, all those things you have to do the research and all. Okay. And one question will come into this, SSD and HSD and disk encryption. So that thing you already aware about that, right? This why we do need a disk encryption and all those things. I'm just skipping those things here. Okay, how to create virtual machine, need not to tell. But I would like to discuss here what is Azure Bastion.
Azure Bastion is actually your this what do you call it in cyber security?
Jump box or your go ahead.
Azure Bastion is actually it's securing your credentials, or it is providing the privileged access management kind of thing.
No. Okay, what is jump box?
Jump box is our server in between, which between your resources and the user. So jump box, maybe you can place your jump box into the DMZ, so that all the
Behind the firewall.
Behind the firewall, yeah.
DMZ zone you're talking about, right? So actually, this is same kind of solution as a Bastion. The Bastion solution is like you don't want to take RDP of Azure VM from the internet. You don't want to give that access. So your Azure Bastion will be created in the private subnet. That will be part of your dedicated NSG. Okay. So you are going to connect your Bastion service first. You can use browser also. Okay. You can use browser. From there you can access your Bastion and you can access do the RDP. So for the SSH, you can also do SSH, but of course SSH is more secure, right, than RDP, right? Even you can do use PuTTY, and that is like secured shell you're going to use by using SSH. But we are concerned about the RDP for especially for a jump box concept. We are using Azure Bastion. Okay, got it. That's also an interview question. Okay. So you see how to connect your server. RDP 3389, SSH. What's the port number?
25.
25. So you can use, and Bastion third one, which is Azure cloud provided or CSP provided for security. Okay. Jump boxes, simple. Any question?
No.
So availability, fault domain, those things will be not asked actually, because those are not, part of the security. Availability is set. You can read those things actually. These are very simple. If you have any questions, we can discuss, but I don't want to waste time actually here. Okay. Scaling concept. Not to scale. No, not to waste time here. Okay. Custom script. Blah, 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 blah. That's it. Okay. Any questions so far?
No.
No questions, but you have to study more, sir. You have to invest some time, to understand those techniques. I'm coming to the last topic and in the fast mode actually, because we are running out of time. And we have, I think this is the last topic, I think so. Yes or no?
Yes, yes. Storage.
No, storage is the last topic. Yeah. So 4 types of storage available, right?
Yes.
You manage through a storage account. And remember 3 things: data in transit, data in rest, data in use. By using SSL, TLS, you have to secure your data. That's the duty of cloud security architect, to keep data secure, irrespective of rest, irrespective of transit, irrespective of use.
Use.
Okay. Yes. Kinds of there, but that's not very important. Accessing storage, the contain. So one term also come in the blob storage. You create containers. So that container is related to your storage, not AKS, not
it.
yes, that's the difference. So some people, you know, who don't know in this container services, they got confused. So you have to remember all those things. Okay. And
when interviewer is asking about containers, so we have to answer for Kubernetes container.
Yeah, they are not going to ask this nonsense container. Okay. Then they will not. Yes. Storage security, you are going to use digital signature, right?
Yeah.
SSL, TLS. Okay. So how you are going to make secure? You have everything here, right? Azure disk encryption is part of security. You are going to secure through SSL. Yeah, right? So this is the important thing, and you have to play. So one thing is very important here. Bring your own key, BYOK. Remember?
Yes.
Bring your own key. Remember that. Why we do use BYK instead of using Azure Key Vault in region?
You don't want your if in future, maybe if you want to switch to different cloud providers, right? So in that case, it would be better if you have your own keys. Azure will not provide their keys if you are migrating from to other clouds.
Right. Thanks for joining the